Before we get started, please take the time to like, add, and subscribe to our pages on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and iTunes. Also, please leave us a review. We can wander our way over, because this is Wandering Ways.
What's Bigfoot possibility?
Clink.
Oink. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's another wonderful episode with the Wandering Ways crew. It is yours truly, the Reverend of Rehab, Reverend Mark. And with me, as per usual, wearing the white sweatshirt, going all white, everything. He's doing that. Even claims it as his race. It's Ranger Zach. Ranger Zach, how we doing?
How's it going, my guy? How's it going? I'm doing good. We are here today having a good day, chatting it up, having good conversations, talking Wandering Ways podcast, adventure, travel, national parks, nature, puffins, birds, cats, dogs. No, we're talking it all. We're talking the fun, cool stuff today. I'm excited. How have you been? What you been up to, cowboy?
Been good. Let's see. Last time I talked to you, I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, this morning I was playing beach volleyball, so I've been doing a lot of that lately.
Yeah.
Outside that, no, been pretty chill.
Good. I'm going to head up to Sealy later today, so definitely stay tuned. If you're following Zach of Wandering Ways or Wandering Ways on the social medias, definitely check that out. You'll see kind of some of the adventure there. Probably go fishing, get out on the lake. Bringing the drone up. Gonna pop that up in the air. Might as well zip it around, fly it around. Have some time, and then come on back to Billings, and then fly up to good old Wolf Point, Montana, and do the Wolf Point thing, and then come back to Billings again, and might head on over to the Beartooth. I was thinking of fish in the Beartooth Lakes here next weekend. So why not?
Hey, there you go. That'd be fun. Fun time. Yeah, I was thinking of getting out next weekend. I just got to look at places to camp. I have some ideas, but I'm not going to put anything. I'm not going to put anything out in the world until I find the camp spot. I could go north, could go south, or I could go west. I don't know which way, but it'll be one of those.
Right. No, exactly. That'll be fun. That'll actually be fun. Get out and smell some fresh pine air because you're up in the Alpine, get that nice scent. I like that. Yeah, that's one thing when you do get up in the mountains, you get that fresh air. You just you know what I mean, and you really tell where you're at. So I'm excited to do that. And there's some work and some little things I got to get done too. So I feel you on getting out and just feeling it recently. Well, you just ran a marathon or a triathlon up in Forest Grove there.
Yeah, I was trying to remember if we talked about that already or not.
I don't know. I mean, you probably did, but you ran. Apparently, Matt Buddy was there at the lake. He was just soaking it in, being his self
Yeah.
in the water. And apparently he's like, yeah, they were doing some like triathlon or stuff, and that's something Mark should do. And apparently you did do it. Like that was the one, and he's all like, "Oh, I didn't know." And then I called him, and it was,
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah, that was pretty funny when he was just like, "Yeah, I saw him there." And I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Right. That's a weird dude. But definitely check out a native podcast with Matt and Zach. He knows his native stuff for sure. 100.
Yeah, that's probably actually coming out live for the people here about this time or close
Yeah,
to when this comes out.
August 29th is when it debuts. It launches. It on all platforms. I hope I scheduled it on Apple Podcasts. I was struggling with that one, so that one might not be out quite yet, and I'm still working on it, so we'll see. But other than that, man, everything else has been just good with that. Figuring out, learning stuff, talking to each other about native stuff, kind of like we're talking national parks, travel, adventures, journeys, all these cool places we've been, all these wonderful places, the national parks, the countries we're going to. going to been to?
100% no. I mean, we're here today, not to talk about national parks, but to talk about, as I put it, one giant park, in a sense. We're here. You probably heard us talk about it at least 3 times this month. It's good old Iceland. We're finishing up all of our Iceland stuff with a good old breakdown, good old fashioned breakdown. We're kind of giving you the things that we learned, things that we think are very helpful. Kind of just breaking down in case you want some tips, tricks on how to plan your trip to Iceland, more so than because we went there. What did we learn? How did we do it? How much did we spend on stuff? That kind of deal. Did we like how we did the trip? So we're going to kind of start from the beginning. The very first thing that you honestly need to do. We actually didn't do this first thing. We did this the second thing on the list, but it was getting those good old fashioned plane tickets because that's probably your biggest expense when it comes down to going to Iceland.
Well,
Um,
that and lodging, right? And I think they kind of go hand in hand.
yeah,
Like you're saying, it's like we did one before the other. And when you talk about these two things, right? Like what it's the dates, it's the timing, it's the planning, right? So we decided what 7 days. We think we could see what we wanted to see in a week based on our budget, and based on what flights we could afford. Like you're saying, booking the flight. And we booked them what 6 months in advance.
yeah, we did it 6 in advance, but the plane wasn't the first thing we booked. The first thing we booked was the van, which
Right,
is essentially lodging and getting around. And we just decided, well, let's do a week. We normally do big trips. It's normally,
right,
anywhere from like 4 to 7 days. Hawaii was like 7 days.
right.
So that's why we chose the week, and then we did the van. But well, I mean, yeah, we booked pretty well in advance. Which it doesn't take a genius to know that if you book in advance, like you're gonna get a better deal on it.
Right. And sometimes you book those package deals too, where you get like some things included, whatnot. We didn't do that because of how we kind of structured this. So sometimes people like to do that where like you get your everything kind of all in one or inclusive kind of stuff. But again, I think that same kind of thing applies where if you know in a year or two that's kind of something you want to do or you have the dates kind of picked out, why not book it that far out? Because
Mhm.
typically that is the best deal. And what I mean, we paid like $700 for a direct flight from Portland
Yeah,
to,
round trip.
yeah, round trip.
Yeah. So I mean, it's very, very, it was good. I have no complaints with that part of it. One thing that's actually super important to know, not everybody actually knows this part, but if you go through Icelandic Air, and let's say you're also wanting to plan a trip to Europe, you can do a layover, an extended layover up to, I believe, 7 days in Iceland, and you won't have to book a separate ticket. So you can buy your ticket. Let's say, sake of conversation, you're flying to Paris. You can go Portland over to Iceland, stay for 7 days, and then that same ticket that you had get you to Paris. So it's the extended layover, which could be pretty advantageous if you're looking to go that route. Same if you're coming back. If you're coming back from Europe, if you're going from Paris, you can go Iceland and Iceland, then stay 3, 7 days, 4 days, and then back to Portland. And you don't have to buy like a second ticket. It's considered the layover. Similar as if you had the longest layover I've ever had is like 12 hours.
Right. You get some pretty long ones here sometimes
Mhm.
too. it's really cool to see that they offer that and they do that to promote that tourism too there in Iceland. And we talked about it too as an advantage, maybe if you maybe have something more important in Europe that you're getting to, and you want to use it as like a time change adjuster to help you start to get onto the right, time change, versus doing it all at once, you're kind of already on the European schedule. Um, yeah, I like that. And then we even booked when you booked the camper van, we reserved it. I mean, we reserved it essentially around the same time as the flight, that early, where we put down a deposit on it. And then I finally paid the full upfront when we got there. So that was kind of nice too, that they offered that. And a lot of what I noticed, a lot of the Icelandic companies offered like the refund, like there was no real extra fees for the refunds on that stuff. I mean, there were, but it wasn't like as ridiculous as like you'd expect. It was like, oh, like for
Yeah, no, 100%. The camper van companies, I mean, we went through Happy Camper,
right,
and I I gotta say, afterwards, I was a happy camper. I was a happy camper during the whole experience.
even though
So
you almost
they
burned
lived
it
true to
down.
their name. Um, but I mean, they were in a sense super chill.
Right,
In the grand scheme of it, they have the add-ons and stuff, and you can pick them when you book it, and then you can switch it when you get there. There was no extra fee. Cancellations, I mean, we didn't have to cancel. There was no cancellation fee.
right.
um we were dummies, and we booked our camper van first, then the plane ticket. We ended up booking the plane ticket and the camper van for the wrong weeks. And so we asked the camper van people if we could move our week, and we did it well in advance, but they had no issues whatsoever. They literally, it was like the next day, it was like, all right, switch your reservation to these dates. And I was like, sweet, perfect. Uh, they pick you up and take you to the airport, which is
Right.
like super, super sweet. So, you know,
And we
I'm a
saw that
huge fan of the
for all the
camper
companies.
van.
We
Yeah,
saw that
for
for
all of
all the camper. That was the other thing too, is like they all were coming up to the airport and picking up people all day long. I mean, ours started at like 8 a.m., which is plenty early. And some of them were there at like 6 a.m. when we rolled out. And what I
them.
also liked when we rolled out of that airport was that they had kind of an area for people to wait. And then they had that like cafe there, knowing that, hey, people are going to be hungry immediately coming out of here and waiting.
Yeah, the airport in Iceland was actually, for one, I was kind of surprised it was that small. I
Well,
would have figured it would have been bigger just because of how many tourists in that kind of. Um, but it was well kind of like laid out, to where departures, and they had people, because you're waiting for the camper van, like, are chilling in the area. And so they were separate from where people putting in checking in their luggage, standing in line, going through security, all that. It was separated well enough.
no, it was a great layout and easy to maneuver, easy to go through, very simple. Like you said early, it's a great beginner country to travel into and travel out of, kind of because it was laid out and simple, and a lot of stuff was in English, going through it. And a lot of people spoke English as that second language. Probably they know two, three, four, five languages. That's how good they are. Um, but it was really cool, really good experience up to that point. And I getting into the country, planning to get into the country.
In need of LED lights for your vehicle? Look no further than our friends at Oxteo, keeping our vehicles well lit while on the road while looking for Bigfoot. Make sure to use code RUGARU, RUGARU, on your next set of LED lights.
Hey there, Reverend. I heard that you might be running dry on your sticker supplier.
Yeah, I've been looking around, and I've kind of like run out of cool stickers to buy and put on water bottles and stuff.
Well, I mean, have you seen the stuff Josh has been coming out with lately?
No, I have not.
Well, he is doing some really cool stuff with the Shop LS574. Yes, they're working with indigenous communities and making some really cool stickers. He has a really cool Buffalo Mountain sticker. There's even water bottles, hats, sweatshirts, the whole swag. And we even got a discount code for you guys. Yes, if you use Wandering Ways at shop LS574, you're going to be getting a discount on your next purchase. But not only that, you're going to be giving a percentage of that sale to the Little Shell Tribe, as well as they donate $1 of every sale to murdered and missing Indigenous women. So just such a cool thing going on there. You use the code Wandering Ways, WANDERING and you put that in there, boom, you're getting a discount.
The Wild West is full of dangers, from snakes to bears. The outdoorsman must be prepared. That is why when you experience rivers like the San Juan or the Yellowstone, you must bring a blue ribbon net. Handcrafted and biodegradable, these classic wooden fishing nets are all you need while on the river. Make sure to use code RUGAROO10 when checking out at Blue Ribbon Nets. Again, the code is RUGAROO10. RUGARU10.
Yeah. So, for us, we went the camper van route through Happy Camper, and it was fantastic for us. It allowed us to bring our price down because we had to pay for a campsite, really, which is a lot cheaper of a route. We didn't have to buy like the hotel rooms or the like rentals, which Iceland has a ton of, and a lot of cool ones, I might add too. A lot of like cool little cabin, kind of like small, well spread out. We just didn't go that route because we wanted to go a little bit cheaper. The camper van also helps us reduce our costs because it acts as our rental car. Right. We didn't have to get a separate rental car. We did the house for our lodging and rental car kind of one. We just had to pay for the campsites, which campsites are extremely cheap. I think the most expensive one came out to be about 25 US dollars.
Which is about that 2000. It was about 2000 something ISK each person, right?
Yeah, and it was the last one.
Yeah, which was the closest to Reykjavik. So really, when we were
closest to Reykjavik and also right next to Blue Lagoon.
Right. And these other camping spots, they were closer to like, 1,800 ISK. Yeah. And they were more remote in these more other parts of the country that we were. And I think when we look at those spots and we think about that, that was the majority of it, of where we were camping. The national parks obviously saw a little bit more expensive, but what I liked about even the camping was the fields that you just kind of rolled right up into, and they just said pull right in.
Yeah.
You could do the tent route too, if say you just did a rental car and you're doing the tent. We did see that. More vans though, because it does get kind of cold, especially when we were on the West Coast. It seemed like that was the coldest, I think, for most of the trip for us.
Yeah, that was the coldest part. I think that was kind of more weather related. Right. I don't necessarily I don't have enough information to say like, yeah, this is a colder area of Iceland. I think that's just kind of how our trip ended up.
The only reason I would say that is because the jet stream, the way it comes up the Atlantic there, hits the way it brings that weather. And yes, you get nice days out there as well. But we had, I think when we were on that, especially that southeast or southwest side, we're in the clouds and whatnot. So the camper van came in handy because, we did get rain when we stayed at that one campsite that night, and that wouldn't have been fun in a tent. But then when we stayed up by Husavik, frick, man, that van got hot. And I even cracked the door at one point. But I would have been that one, and then the one after the cliffs that night when the Borg, not Borganese, that was a different town. But that area, like it got hot enough to where I wouldn't mind a tent.
No, 100%. Those those two areas definitely, they definitely kind of, there was the hotter parts of the trip for sure. I mean, it was toasty. I mean, when we just slept for a while that first day in Thingvellir, it got pretty hot that day too.
Yeah.
Um,
During the daytime,
so
especially because that sun was high and it cooked that van like a fucking oven. Because
yeah, yeah,
that sun
it
is
did.
high. It's a high, hot sun, when you're sitting there at the, basically the Arctic Circle almost, and that it's just blaring down on you. So when it does get up to like 70 degrees Fahrenheit, it did become hotter. It felt hotter for sure. Um, I I I like the van though. I would, if I were to go back, I would do a van. I might do a 4x4 van and one maybe that's a little lifted. So you could get to, like, especially some of those roads we went on, just so that you could get over some rougher terrain.
100%.
Because that volcano rock is bad.
Yeah, that'd be one thing I think I would do next time. It's not nothing I would change. It's just what I would do next time is getting the 4x4 van. So you can go on those F roads, so you can get in different places. Um, Regardless of what, if you go with a van like ours or if you go with the 4x4, the van rental companies, they offer gravel insurance and take it.
Yep.
If you want to
Yep.
get to the cooler parts of Iceland, which you can get to a lot of spots with a very minimal van, like we did. But there are a lot of gravel roads. It helps protect you if a rock comes and accidentally flies, the dust and all that. Um, the gravel insurance, I honestly think is almost a must, if I'm being
No,
completely honest.
agreed. Especially if you want to see things. I mean, if you're going to stay, I think, in that golden circle and not really leave paved roads, then no. But even then, we still found ourselves trying to go check out some lighthouses on some gravel roads. And again, that volcano rock it's nasty stuff the way when it hits a car, it's strong. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, other than that, like I would do that, and obviously more time. So because those F roads, I feel like would take you are going a little bit slower, and because it's even worse than the gravel roads in some senses. But you're getting into more because it's like I would want to take the ones up in the West Fjords. I'd want to take kind of the ones that go up into the middle of the country, into the Iceland, into the volcano areas, where I think you really see some of the really cool colors of the rock. You get those like turquoises and the reds and the yellows, and there's the different kind of like acid rock. I don't know, whatever you call it, that like this they change the colors.
Yeah, that's the perk of the 4x4. You can check out more of those West Forts. You can you can go to the thermal area near Thingvellir and go beyond it. I think then you can really uh there's the big mountain with all the glaciers right there in the south, like almost directly south. You can get on the other side of that if you get the 4x4. Which when I was doing a lot of research or when I was researching going to Iceland, there's a lot of cool shit over in that area. So I think that helps you see you're just able to see more and get away from the crowds when you go
Right.
that route.
Right. And that was something I think that we prioritized too, was getting away from the crowds, in the sense that, we could kind of hit these things at different times of the day. We hit some stuff at like midnight, um, and there was nobody around. Or we hit like those waterfalls at like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, where you could tell you come there at noon, there's a lot of people, so that was something that I think you have the ability of. But again, some of these places are so remote too, And that was I guess also the luxury of the camper van is we were, you weren't checking into any hotels, you weren't on any agendas, because there's also those kind of trips you could do too. And low key, I would recommend if you wanted to do a van trip, they'll take you, or those bus trips, they'll take you anywhere. We saw them on all those roads. Um, but
That's
definitely,
true. That I forgot that you can do the bus tours. And if you're looking at the bus tours, you're thinking it's a great option, but I think I'm going to miss something. No, they'll take you.
yeah,
If it can fit a bus, they're going on it. If the bus tires can handle the road, the bus is going to be on that road. Even if they got to go back out of it with like steep sides on both end of it, they'll take you down it.
they did. We saw it. We witnessed it firsthand. Which is cool. There's a lot of that around too, like even like the shuttle to the plane, so you didn't have to do the hike to the plane. There's a
Yeah.
lot of like those tours that are offered as well. That like, I look at part of the trip tour too is because we did it in a week, and we wanted to see the whole country in the way that we did, we weren't able to do some of those like tours. And again, that's another cost, right? Like we prioritize some of our costs to the hot springs and some of the other things we wanted to experience and do while we were there. Whereas, like, going back, I might want to do a whale tour at Husavik. I might want to do a boat glacier lagoon tour at Diamond Beach. I might want to go and stay a night in a hotel or at the Blue Lagoon or something. Different things like that as well. That looking back, you're like, okay, I got kind of a feel for it. Now, here's how I would handle it. And the dream trip, I keep telling you, is about a month long. I think you could cover this whole thing in about a month and really see some cool stuff.
Yeah. And just because you go with a camper van doesn't mean you can't stay in a hotel
Right.
or the cabs and stuff. You can mix and match it. You can, depending on where you are, maybe the whole reason you're going to Iceland is because you saw one of those glass huts and you get to see the aurora borealis. But so those kind of things you can mix and match where you want to stay. If you're going in the winter, I probably am not camping even in a camper van
Right.
a whole lot, just because although our camper van did have a heater, so it probably can get you probably can stay pretty comfy
Right.
in those camper vans even in the cold winter.
Right. And one nice thing too is it does get cold there, because you are in the dark in the snow. You do see it. You see it in the cars that they have, that they're prepared for the winter as well. But the nice thing about the coasts too, where a lot of the towns are, is they don't get as terrible as, like, I would say, like the inner Iceland. I bet inner Iceland sucks in the winter. That's why you
Mhm.
don't see a lot of probably cities and towns in that area. They're all harbor towns. So you're able to do that kind of stuff too in the winter and go see those Airbnbs. So maybe that's the trip you take, right? Where it's like, hey, we're just going to do the Golden Circle and rent a car and stay at these Airbnbs. I think that's
Mhm.
perfect. I think that's what I would do if I were to go in the winter. Because you're right, like seeing the Aurora Borealis, seeing like Skogafoss in the winter, seeing just kind of like that kind of stuff in that area would be cool. I really liked Iceland. I do want to go back a lot. I want to spend a lot more time there for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean it's very very cool. But yeah, that's for kind of getting around where to stay. Again, it's very cheap if you do the campground way versus the hotels or and you can do the luxury stuff too there. The Golden Circle, that goes Thingvellir, kind of the waterfalls down there in the southwest. That's your more popular area, so you're gonna hit the most crowds there for sure. I think you're gonna hit people pretty much all the time, even in those off hours. But in those off hours, you can be alone for segments of it.
Right. And like we were Diamond Beach. We were there at like 8, 9, 10, 8, 9 o'clock. I think
We might have been a little later
no, because we
because I
got
think
to
we were weren't we trying to get to the waffle place just about that time?
Waffle Place by 6. And then we got to the Lagoon place by like 7 or 8 because we got to the campsite that night by 11 or midnight at that waterfall. We just rolled right in, passed out. It was like 11 or midnight.
Okay.
And we did some driving because that glacier was huge. I remember from
Yeah.
when we first experienced it there at the Glacier Lagoon. But like again, like 8 or 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, whenever we're there, like there were people there. But you could see that by those parking lots that it's a place a lot of people come. And it was kind of cool to just keep walking and find our place. Even the Puffins, they had quite a bit of people there because it's a known Puffin location. So we just kept walking down the cliffs till we got, as far as we could get. And I mean, we did have the like family that followed us behind because they were looking for Puffins, like they were looking kind of like we were. um it was cool. It was
Yeah,
cool.
I remember, when we were on the ferry crossing and we were going to see the puffins that day. I remember actually getting a little worried that it was going to get crowded there because you hear everyone on the ferry talk about, oh, we're going to go see the puffins. Oh, we're going to go see the puffins. Now they didn't say when they were going to go see the puffins. They were just saying that they were going to go see the puffins. And so in my head, I was just like, oh, they're all going ferry puffins, which is where we are going to be. And we're going to get there. We're going to get flooded with people. We're going to get a picture or two. We're going to probably have a little bit of like see it, but it's not going to be like that crazy awesome as I'd hoped going into it. But
Right.
then when we got there, there's people, but it wasn't even crazy. Even where we were with the most people is maybe 30.
Even if that,
Yeah,
like
I was
15
kind of
maybe.
overshooting because,
Yeah, no, and but no, you're right though, because like we're on that ferry, and you bring up the ferry, which is very easy to book. uh it was goes to that Flatty Island, which I think again, if I were to go back, I'd try to do that Flatty Island. But it then which had a hotel, which some people got off, and which the hotel also then the ferry takes your car and parks it for you even. And then we're on that road, we're following all those cars that were just on the ferry with us, and some of them, like you said, we're breaking off to those Airbnbs, we're breaking off to some of the like kind of lodging options along the way, which out there it wasn't quite as hotel-y, it was more Airbnb. But we never went into the one town that was across the way from the fjord that we were on, which I think people could have gone to and stayed probably at like more like a classic hotel. And then maybe there was like 2, 3 cars that probably were with us on the ferry that actually probably went and saw the Puffins that day, just based on the travel on that road.
Mhm.
And even then, it might have been people who stayed and got on that road. But nice afternoon trip out there. Perfect time to go see them. It was wonderful. Um, Great. I definitely those West Fjords. There's something about them. Just got to go
Yeah,
back.
that area, I think you can have a trip and just do that area, and you're going to see a lot, and you're going to have an absolute hell of a time. Um, there's campsites out there. It's so remote. It's just out there, wilderness. It's kind of this different. The fjords are wild because it's just these like vertical, massive rocks that are just, and you're driving around them, up and over them, type deal, and that's actually really really cool. I see a ton. My algorithm right now is biking and Iceland, and so they're like, let's combine the two into this thing called bike packing in Iceland. And so I've seen a ton of videos of that kind of deal, and I'll like watch them. Like I just watched this one on bike packing the West Fjords, and I was like, oh, I was there. Oh, I remember that spot.
Right? No,
So
exactly. Exactly. And you're just like, oh, I want to go back to that spot and feel that again. Um, with the West Fjords too, what I really want is they also have that Viking compasses up there. Which I think would be really cool to see. The other thing is kind of at the base of the fjords where they kind of come off the mainland there, where we started to head north. I really liked those rivers and those valleys. I kept saying they reminded me of Montana in that way. And I, if you like fishing, I think that would be the place to go. I think those towns and those areas right there, pretty much all in the north, that whole north drive we did, to me, felt like the Flathead Valley, that Hoffos town. And I would love to fish those rivers, fish for the brown trout that they have out there. Definitely give that a go for sure.
yeah. Then when you get up way north in the fjords, you have the nature reserve,
Right.
which that would be wild to go see. Um,
Well,
the West Fjords, there's a lot there that I think that you can really enjoy. I mean, the whole thing's really awesome. If you keep going east, that north kind of northern part of Iceland, uh, it's another cool. I think there's not as much when you're doing research for these areas like there, so it's kind of tough to prep into it. I think if you've never been. Um,
it's more
but I think
locals.
these, yeah, it's a lot more locals. But I think this is one where if you really want to experience the people of Iceland, like hanging out in a small town for an afternoon or even a day, I think this is the area to do it. I mean, yeah, there's Husavik, which is a bit more touristy because that's where the whale watching is.
Right.
There's that, I don't know, forget the name of it, but that big old waterfall,
Yeah.
almost directly south.
Right.
Um,
The
so
Maivaton nature baths kind of in that area as well, which they have a big that it's the Foss hotels, which I started noticing there's a chain of them all around the FOSS, and they're around all the Iceland that you could stay at and go to those hotels. And kind of that north. I like that area, like you're saying, where it's touristy, but like even that town of the north, Aruki, Aryeki, that like you could fly in there if you wanted. You could see where people probably fly in to ski in the winter because there were those ski resorts up, up that way. That we did see up by the tunnels, and to go drive through those tunnels, man, how cool was that?
yeah, the tunnels were pretty wild. Yeah. As of recording, still don't know if I got that ticket. I think I'm in the clear.
I
I'm
think
gonna
you
say,
are.
I think I didn't get that speeding ticket that I keep thinking that I did. I actually got the biggest kick because your cousin was in Alaska and
Right.
he went in a one lane kind of tunnel
Yeah.
and he's taking the video of it and I was just like, oh, I know exactly how this feels.
Right. No, yeah, Jared went up to Alaska and they did halibut fishing as well as um well, what did they do? They did a glacier tour, like a glacier like boat kind of tour thing up there. It
Which
was what
that looked actually really cool.
you saw sea otters.
Yeah, I saw that, and that was the big ticket. That was like, oh, that's really cool.
And
And
then
then like
and
the next thing he did was the glaciers, and I was just like, oh, that's kind of fucking legit.
yeah, and then I was messaging him. I said, dude, that's baller. I said, think of that glacier because he's like, we saw like 26 of them or whatever, just because the way they're coming out. I'm like, yeah, but the one in Iceland is basically all those connected, if you were to think
Yeah.
about it. And he was like, damn. I said, that's still freaking nuts. And then he said, but don't worry, I took my camera and his long lens.
Oh,
So he
nice.
said he got some good ones of the sea otters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure the sea otters. That's I would go there for the sea otters, or maybe I'll have to pop down to Monterey Bay, and check out the sea otters there. But that's some cool shit. And speaking of, we're just gonna roll right on into my favorite segment, cool shit in nature. We're gonna start off Do we want to start off aggressive or more of like a true cool kind of like odd thing in nature?
Whatever you want, my man.
All right, we'll save the aggressive one for the second. We'll start off with something a little bit. It's something that just kind of baffles my head, if I'm being totally honest. Um,
Oh
so
yeah.
yeah, for the people that are looking at this, is in Argentina, and it looks like a lake, and it's nothing crazy in the picture. It looks kind of like a crescent moon. It's cool in and of itself, like that.
Right.
Now, when you slide over, it shows different pictures of it, and it like weirdly moves the circle of land in between this lake, like floats around, kind of like they always make fun of that DVD on like the TV screen
Yeah.
where it's like floating on the TV screen. That's kind of what this island does.
Yeah, and what's crazy, this island's like a perfect circle. But I guess like the other thing too is like our planets and stuff are like perfect circles too. So nature kind of forms these shapes naturally. Which is kind of crazy, but like it's weird, huh?
Is super weird. It's cool, which is why I like clicked on it and wanted because it's it's so weird how it does that. It kind of makes you wonder if you stepped on it, would you like sink kind of through?
Yeah, and then you also wonder then at that point, is it man-made? Like the middle island, like to float
Yeah.
of the lake, you know what I mean? Like if it is a natural lake and that
hmm
they, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just kind of a real weird, interesting thing. Next thing though, going into a good old hippo going at a lion.
Oh,
There's a reason why hippos are so dang dangerous. Um,
that's wild,
even
dude.
the lion, I mean, the lion's definitely not even in its habitat to
Yeah,
like stand a fight.
why is it on the river? That's my question. How did a lion get out there?
Yeah, who knows? You know, I mean, cats are gonna go where cats want to go,
I guess. Yeah,
but
don't mess with the hippo. Hippos are like, I think, the most aggressive out there.
I think they are. That's why the cocaine hippos down in Colombia, that's why they're so dangerous down there is because there's a lot more foliage, so they hide a lot better.
Yeah. And they like yeah, and they like just thrive too down there, which is wild.
Yeah.
Um,
It really is wild.
no natural aggressors though in Iceland, other than I guess like the fox, which I like you said up in the West Fjords. I think up there we would have been able to see the Hornstater is where they say you might be able to see more Arctic fox as well. But we were able to see the one in the Snæfellsjökull National Park, the Peninsula Park.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. Way over on the that kind of like little inlet on the west
Peninsula.
there. Yeah, the peninsula there. Again, if we didn't have the gravel insurance though, we're not seeing that.
No, and
Um
that was one of the more rough roads. Like that was you said that was the road that worried you the most. Um,
Uh, it was I didn't have one that worried me the most. It was one of two. It was that one and then the one to the cliffs with the puffins. Those two
oh,
roads were equally as worrisome.
and then the worst road was the road we drove near the Golden Circle.
Yeah, because the GPS took us on a wild trip.
It was basically that was the other actually cool thing about the rental van was the GPS that was included and how it gave us one Wi-Fi for our phones, so we were just able to like be on our phones normal, and the other one was the fact that like it did take us to these places. It didn't like it worked everywhere. Like they had a good system set up for however this like the towers connected to it. I mean, there was a few spots where it got kind of iffy, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's actually a good point to bring up. It was an add-on, but it was a really good add-on. It was the Wi-Fi GPS kind of combo.
Right.
So that way, like, you know, we essentially and like the way they had that lined up, they like the app or whatever they use, you can make the trip. So you can do the days and you can lay out, you want to go here, you want to go here, you want to go here. And you can map it out the day before of everywhere you want to go. And then it's just go. And then when you hit it, you get to the spot, you click, oh, we got there, and then boom, takes you to the next spot. It really took the ease or the stress of navigating like out. Yeah, it took us on some wild shit at times.
Right.
I mean, more than once. We went on some roads where like, what the fuck? Or where are you taking us?
Right. Yeah. But that was also due to the fact that we did see some roads that were being paved brand newly to that Studagoli Canyon, which makes
Mhm.
sense because that's blowing up on Instagram. It's probably like a horseshoe bend in that sense. When you think about it, it was probably some farmer finally posted a picture back there of what that looked like, and then just the traction it gained. Because that road's what you could tell it was a dirt road. Now they're paving it all the way back there.
Yep.
The other one was I think the hot spring hike. I think that road it did take us on was more of the like actual hike back in the day. Cause even that like cafe looked brand spanking new.
Yeah. Yeah, that area where the hot spring hikes, that was developed and developing because they had the mountain bike tours, you can go
Yeah.
take the mountain bike up, um, which I think that popped you down and around. It looked like they were building like almost like a little kind of like tourist kind of like outdoorsy hub right there. I think they were even going to put a zip line in there if I remember right.
I think it did say something like that. And the parking things looked like brand new. They took pictures
Yeah.
of your license plate and stuff. Like when you went to go pay, which was kind of cool. It was like, oh, that's my car. Okay. Kind of sketch, but
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's actually another the parking was nice. It was kind of weird because you felt weird. It's not that weird, but you feel weird that you go to the little parking booth and you type in your license plate and it's just like, oh, there's a picture of it. You're like, oh shit, you do really know I'm here. Um,
right. No,
but
exactly.
you didn't have to get the little ticket. I mean, some of them had the app where you just
Right.
like, paid on the app and there was no even kiosk, but which that was cool too.
No, it really was. It was really easy. And again, I recommend this place as like a beginner if you're an American, especially and you're scared by our own internal fears of America of like, oh, international travel, great country to go learn. That was for me. I've been to Canada and Mexico, like Juarez, Mexico, but not 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 up there, but Iceland to me was kind of that first big, and it was fun. It was cool. We got to experience some really cool shit. We got to see the meat soup, the lamb stew. You got to see it. The hot dogs were everywhere. The pizza was everywhere. So just kind of stuff like that they had everywhere to see. My stomach is a weird, sensitive stomach, I think, and I hate it because I wish I could try all these different flavors and foods and we stuck to a pretty basic American diet as well as like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, ham sandwiches, is one to save on budget while we're doing this trip because we did splurge a little bit to do this trip. And budget things like the lagoon. I think I spent when I calculated it out based between geothermal sea bass, the Blue Lagoon, and the Vok Nature Baths, it was about $200, with $100 of that being the Blue Lagoon being the most expensive. That one you did get the face mask and the free drink. And like you could get the like $10 freaking alcoholic drink, but I don't drink. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. So I got a little icy slushy.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. Uh, yeah, I mean, Iceland's a great place to start. I guess my question would be, is there one thing that you would either change about what we did or something you kind of wish we knew before we went?
I wish I would have known more about like the Husavik whale tours because we did get there early enough to where we probably could have done one, like an evening one. Um, I I would have maybe tacked, and then the other thing I would have changed is maybe like tack on like 5 more days,
Yeah.
because we did like just to give us like a longer like trip. I think you give us the 5 days, we maybe explore another paved road up the fjords. We do a little more of the loops on the north. We go to that one town up north. we spend some time on those fingers out on the east, and then really break, maybe do a glacier tour and stuff like that. But budget, right? We like to do this thing cheap sometimes.
Yeah, no, I mean, we do it relatively cheap. Yeah, that'd be the thing. The biggest thing I would change is slowing it down at times. It just felt like we're in the car the whole freaking time. Um, which you can do, either you just don't see as much stuff or you add more days. That's
Yeah.
the trade-off that you kind of go with. And then it opens up opportunity when you slow things down to do more tours or like check out the cities
Right.
a little bit more. That would probably be the other thing, is maybe get into the cities a little bit more, experience that, have some fun with that kind of deal.
Well, and that's kind of like, we use the hot springs to shower and stuff too, as well as like the campsites all had showers and stuff, which was nice because the van life. But like you're saying, it was like you get into the city, you spend a day there, a full day, and you get to experience it. You could maybe that's where you rent the Airbnb or you do that kind of that extra thing. Because there was like up in that town of the north, they had that forest lagoon right there too. It's like, so you can't, maybe you camp outside, and each town even had a campground. So it's like, camp there, stay there, do this. There's so much to do. And that's what, because like I'm looking at my map, we went from Husavik to goddamn Hoffen. So we basically covered that whole east side in a full day. Where
that's the biggest change I would do, is that section.
Break it up into like 3 days, I think.
Yeah. I unfortunately, we're running out of time on this breakdown today. We give you a lot of the nuts and bolts. You're still gonna have to do some research on things you want to see, but you should do that anyway. We're just kind of helping you navigate Iceland. But anyways, it's time for our final words. So, final words, my guy.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to be quick and short with this one because I've got to hit the road and head to Sealy here soon. So definitely stay tuned for that. But Iceland was fun. It was a blast. We just want to share with you our tips and tricks today with this breakdown. So definitely check out the other episodes on Iceland to kind of hear the trip, hear kind of how we planned, hear how it went, how it went and came to be. It was a fun trip. Definitely want to go back. I probably, I'll take Thea back and go stay in the hotels, Airbnbs. It'll be a good time. Reverend?
Reverend, final words of wisdom. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around, listening to all this. Stay beautiful, all those wonderful things. Hit the like, subscribe, all that. Going to keep it short and sweet. Go out, enjoy. Thank you so much for listening. All that fun stuff. And with that being said, peace out, everybody.
Bye.